Yo, what's good, Bills Mafia? It's Stevie Johnson, and you're in the sit down with my man Sauce God. Go Bills.
And if you're just now tuning in, Bills Mafia and sports fans, you're live in the sit down on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. This is the live version of the podcast, available via audio podcast, wherever you may get your podcast from the following day. Hosted by Sauce God and a variety of his buddies who have nothing but great things and funny things to say and nothing but entertainment for you guys here tonight on Friday night. Do us a favor, hit that like and share. We'll be live here in just a few moments, Bills Mafia and sports fans, here in the sit down on Facebook Live and YouTube Live.
Let's get this over with. 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's simple, baby. Buffalo Bills football is heck, all right? Let me tell you something.
I'm gonna crack a cold one because it's tailgate.
Ooh, ice cold, Mike. Let me tell you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are live here in the sit down with Sauce God, the sports and entertainment show.
I'm whipping the sauce, I'm tripping, of course, I want it all. All of my dogs be running with guard. Your mama, you're holding your pennies and bra. Cause when I get whipping the sauce, you taking it off. I'm dancing on tracks like stomping the yard. We keeping it quiet, we moving in signs. But now we starting to riot, yeah. Keeping my eye on the prize. I got me a queen, we riding like Bonnie and Clyde. Trips to Dubai, the way I be blessing. I'm destined for changing my decimals. Decibels hitting the wave and rapping incredible. Splitting their head like a cantaloupe edible. Got me so high, I'm touching the sky. Of course, I give it my all. I'm whipping the sauce, kicking the door. But then we been here before. She ain't involved, well she ain't involved. Taking my shot, even if down, we tying the score. Do your dance and now twist, don't stress, don't trip. Whipping sauce real quick, stay dripping. Sipping on cognac, roll tea in my veins, but you find that I'm whipping it, watch it get saucy.
How you doing it?
I'm twisting and mixing them, shaking them haters right off me.
What you doing?
Yes, this is the sit down live on Facebook Live and YouTube Live, hosted by myself, the Sauce God, at Buffalo Sauce God across the social media platforms, and co-hosted by my guys, Modown, who we're expecting here in a little bit, of course, representing Florida, representing the Jacksonville Jaguars, representing Johnny Cash tonight on Friday night is, of course, Kirby Gregory. How we doing tonight, Kirby?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I got the Johnny Cash fit with a chain. I'm good, dude.
Oh, he rocking and rolling. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, this was a Massive week in sports. The World Series ended. We saw the Yankees go down to their own demise in Game 5. Of course, the Dodgers were leading that series 3-1. So we'll talk about that and what I think about their fifth inning meltdown. But what I thought of Aaron Judge's performance there towards the end of the series. We'll talk a little bit about Juan Soto because it's not guaranteed, Yankee fans, that he will be back in pinstripes next season for the Yankees. He could be in pinstripes for a different team, perhaps, right? But there is no guarantee. Thank you for that, my lady. By the way, my wonderful girlfriend, who is the voiceover on the Ladies and Gentlemen, you're live here in the Sit Down with Sauce God. Yeah, so just brought me a water. Kirby, it was very disappointing week for me as a Yankee fan, of course. You know, I know you're not a big baseball guy, but you obviously know what was going on in the World Series. The Dodgers were on an absolute tear. You know, so for me as a Yankee fan heading into the offseason, I'm a little scared. You know what I mean? Because we had Juan Soto basically on a 1-year rental. You didn't give up a ton to get him, sure, but you hope that you would win a championship to kind of really, urge him to stay that much more. I'm not saying that wasn't enough success for him to necessarily stay as a Yankee, but it is about money. So we'll talk about that later in the sit down. We'll also go and talk about our Bills defeating the Seahawks last Sunday at 4:05 with Tom Brady commentating. We'll go through some highlights. We'll talk about the stats and everything involving the Bills' 31-10 victory over the Seattle Seahawks. We have a ton to discuss. We're going to talk a little bit about sports betting. We're going to talk about the world of sports and entertainment, all that and much more right here in the sit down, presented by BuffaloSauceGuy.com. Duff's Famous Wings, where medium is hot and don't have to ask for them extra crispy if you go to the original on Sheridan Drive. And Big Tree Inn right next to the stadium. Wing nights on Thursdays. Louie's Bar in Attica, home of one of the best wick and wing combinations in all of Western New York. Check them out in Attica. And, of course, the Zubaz own 716 Sports Card and Memorabilia store in Depew, New York. And that's ran by our guy, El Capitan, the Lake Effect, Modown. So, Kirby, how do you feel about the Jaguars? Let's talk about that before we get into anything else. Obviously, you guys have been on a little bit of an upward trend. I would say you see that the Houston Texans have lost Stephon Diggs for the remainder of the season and quite possibly into next year as well. The Colts are sitting Anthony Richardson. So in a sense, I know that you guys record wise, it doesn't look very good, but the outlook is there. The possibility is still there. And I think that if there's a team that's shown in the past that they could do something, it might be the Jaguars. How do you feel about them right now?
Listen, I'm gonna need a drink before I go on a rant here. So cheers.
Salud.
All right, guys, it's not looking good. Yes, we have upward trajectory with the scenarios of one. Well, both of them you mentioned. Other than that, man, we have good players. I just don't believe in the coaching staff right now. I don't believe in Doug Peterson. I don't believe in Trent Baalke. And I feel like we have the tremendous players. We do have a lot of talent. Granted, we've lost some. Overall, we're not a very good team. We're going to have a bunch of draft picks, but it's the same thing every season. And I feel like, you in a way can relate to this pain, but we have a lot of pieces. We have a star quarterback. And what do we have to show for it right now? I mean, it's
the way
tough,
that I
man.
look at it, the first thing that you said there is that you've lost belief in Doug Peterson. So let me ask you this on the outside looking in. What changed? I mean, obviously he had the postseason appearance with Trevor Lawrence, and that's what started to make the Jaguars look like a very promising team. Obviously, CJ Stroud coming into that division was unpredicted, but so what really changed from then until now, would you say?
I said the wrong name. I said Trent Baalke. What I'm trying to say is Press Taylor. Okay? He's our play caller. And the coach and him are married, basically. I mean, they're inseparable. And I think the play calling has been a joke. I've been the one watching the games. I mean, it's questionable third and long plays. What we do on fourth down, if we decide to go for it on fourth down, is just like you're scratching your head like, why? Other than that, I mean, that's my biggest concern. we've had our
So right now,
injuries.
you feel
We've
like
had our
you have the
injuries.
pieces, but you just don't have the assistant coach. Because I can relate to that. The Bills last year fired Ken Dorsey midway through the season because their offense wasn't clicking. And I mean, is that always going to solve it? Not necessarily, but it seemed like it did for the Bills because they played much more efficiently offensively since then and have spread the football around that much more. That makes me believe in Joe Brady more so than I did Ken Dorsey, especially since I, no pun intended, endorsed Ken Dorsey when they made him the offensive coordinator, right? Defensively, it's like the Bills have that piece too. But then again, it always seems to be the head coaching for us that's like the one question mark, I guess. So I guess for you guys, what would you like to see more out of offensively that you're not getting out of your current offensive coordinator and your current play caller?
Okay, so there is, well, it's 50-50. There could be better passing plays as far as play calling goes. The run game I don't have too many issues with because we had the next man step up, and that's Tank Bigsby. And he's been good. He's not as good of a pass catcher as ETN, but ETN is, I feel like he's kind of burning out a little bit because we asked him to do so much, both run early on and catch the ball. And he took a lot of hits, and he's not the biggest guy. He's not built like Tank. He's not a tank. So there's that. I mean, it's just been unfortunate, man. It's just been unfortunate, the amount of injuries piling up and the play calling sucking. And it's just been bad luck. It's been a cursed team for a little bit. But I mean, eventually we're going to have a new stadium. It's going to be amazing looking. The future is bright. We can turn it around.
So you guys will have a new stadium. The Bills will have a new stadium here, I think, in 2 years. I've driven past it and I've seen the levels of completion that it's at right now. And it's supposed to be state of the art type of stuff. I mean, it's $1.4 billion in total funds for it. Versus obviously teams like LA, they have a $5 billion stadium. The Raiders was 1.9. There's a lot of different money in those markets, obviously.
Mhm.
So, I'm glad to see that you guys are going to get a new stadium. I think that you guys definitely have a team that's developing a bigger and bigger fan base. And by the way, joining us now is Modown, of course, here the Lake Effect, the runner and the chief operator El Presidente of the Zubaz 716 Sports Card and Memorabilia Store. How are we doing on this Friday evening, Modown?
I am doing swell, gentlemen. How are y'all?
Well,
great,
we're
man.
talking a little bit about the Jaguars and their state of affairs and what they've got going on and what the current AFC South picture looks like with the absence now of Stephon Diggs for the Texans. I want to say first and foremost, I'm going to go on the record because obviously I have been a very big advocate and critic of the whole Stephon Diggs situation. I do want to say, though, that I do not wish for injury on any sort of player. I know a lot of people out there are saying karma. I get it. I understand it. But, I hope that he has a speedy recovery and that he is able to get back to playing the game of football the way that he wants to. I mean, you don't want to see that for anybody, especially a guy like that we're going to face on Sunday in Tua Tagovailoa, and we'll talk about that later in the show right here in the sit down on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Hit us with a like and a share if you haven't already done so, and join us here in the comments. And please, ladies and gents, make sure that you're following, liked, and subscribed with your notifications turned on so you never miss the live versions of the sit down Bills pregame show or the Bills postgame show here on my Facebook Live or YouTube Live. And if you're unable to catch the live versions of these shows, they are available via audio podcast. I've had some special guests on like Bill Samurai. Last week, I had Carl Redneck Russo of 97 Rock, current DJ and voice of Buffalo Radio, Carl Russo. So now we got Mo down in here. We're talking about the Jaguars a little bit. Let's go on into the Bills. We saw, obviously, quite the performance from the Buffalo Bills against Seattle in Seattle. And yes, this was a Seattle team that had no DK Metcalf and a Seattle team that is obviously struggling. We saw at one point there were two Seattle Seahawks fighting each other, and Deion Dawkins is kind of like looking at him like, what the you guys are like fighting the wrong people here. Modown, give me one word to sum up what you thought of the Bills' performance on Sunday before we get into some of the statistics.
Execution.
Very good word. I like that. I mean, obviously, you saw it on all three phases of football. The Bills creating turnovers, the Bills responding off of the first interception that Josh Allen threw this season. And basically, we just saw a very well-balanced team yet again, and that's been the Bills' mantra for success, I think, the most part of the season. So let's talk about some of the Bills' stats for the day. Josh Allen finished the day 24 for 8 out of 34 passes for 283 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he did throw his first interception on a pass to Amari Cooper that looked like Amari Cooper kind of just slipped. Of course, they're still working on that chemistry. He did take 1 sack, finished with a passer rating of 102.9. James Cook led the day for the Bills rushing game, and that was 17 carries for 111 yards, 2 touchdowns to go with it. Ray Davis coming in as the backup guy, 6 carries for 29 yards and no touchdowns, but 4.8 yards per carry. That's big for the rookie. Josh Allen had 7 carries for 25 yards, but the Bills receiving core was well spread out. As you see, Khalil Shakir, 9 catches, 107 yards, no touchdowns, but still a 100-yard game from a Bills receiver in back-to-back weeks. That's a good sign for people that are saying that the Bills receivers could not get it done. Even if Amari Cooper only had 1 catch on the day for 3 yards, he still makes an impact and still draws in defense and still draws attention, and that's exactly what we brought him here for. Now, the best receiver, I think, for the Bills outside of Khalil Shakir was definitely Keon Coleman, 5 catches for 70 yards and a nice one-handed grab on a back shoulder fade that Josh Allen threw to him for a touchdown. Dawson Knox, 2 catches for 50 yards, one of them being a 27-yarder. Dalton Kincaid, 1 touchdown, 4 catches, and 31 yards. And James Cook, 3 catches out of the backfield for 22 yards. And that's what you like to see. I also got to say, it was National Tight End Day. So Dalton Kincaid getting a touchdown to go along with all of that is pretty damn cool to see. The Bills did fumble one time, Josh Allen did, but they did not lose that fumble. Matt Collins and Ty Johnson both recovered a fumble. Ty Johnson recovering Josh Allen's, which actually I believe went for a first down. So that's pretty cool how that worked out. Yeah. Matt Collins recovering one on that punt that you'll see here in a bit in the Sauce 'em Up highlights. Taron Johnson, 8 total tackles, 4 of them being solo. Rasul Douglas, 5 solo tackles, one of them being for a loss. And that's good to see the Bills defensive backs are doing their job in getting, not only the tackles, but also adding some pressure to that as well. So we did see Greg Rousseau was a menace out there again, not able to register a sack this week, but he did have 4 tackles, and 2 of them coming as tackles for a loss. I'm sorry, he had 2 pass deflections. And so also to go along with that, we had for sacks for the Bills, we had Javon Solomon getting a sack, and that was actually the only sack for the Bills this week, which it kind of felt like they had way more, but they were just able to get after. They were just able to get after Geno Smith. Of course, Austin Johnson, defensive lineman, getting an interception as well. That's good to see.
Yeah.
So let's see. For the Seahawks, Geno Smith, 212 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. The Seattle Seahawks ran the ball 17 times for 32 yards. I think that's all I really need to say. The only player that played any sort of decently offensively for the Seahawks was Jackson Smith and Jigba, and that's because no DK Metcalf. They had to find somebody out there on the field, and that's the only highlight for the Seahawks offensively. So, Modem, you hear the stats. You see Josh Allen's first interception. Did you like the way that he responded after that moment?
Of course, absolutely. It was again. It was just it probably wouldn't have even happened. Again, it looked like Cooper slipped, and it was not even like it was like a Coleman bounce off the head type of play. It was, just an unfortunate mishap.
Yeah, and it was just obviously something that I felt had to get out of the way eventually.
Which I guess is any type of interception, right? Something goes wrong.
Yeah. I mean, but you look at it this way. Now that it's out of the way, everybody can stop focusing in on that statistic. Josh Allen can kind of maybe play a little bit more freely as if he hasn't already.
Would have been nice to keep it going,
Oh, yeah, of course. And his confidence level, obviously, I think at that point was still through the roof. And I think that his decision-making with the football has been really great this year. And he's just playing the game very well, taking what the defense gives him and seeming to make the right play at the right time. And that's exactly what the Bills Mafia should hope for in the season. So let's go into the Sauce 'em Up highlights presented by Duff's Famous Wings right here on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, in the sit down with Sauce God, Modown, and Kirby. All right, so here we go. Bills first quarter. Josh Allen is going to pick the hand up. Dalton Kincaid? No. Was that Dawson Knox? That was Dawson Knox, yes. Dawson Knox kind of getting it going for the Buffalo Bills here in recent weeks, and that's a good sign for the Bills to have a more balanced offense. And Josh Allen rolls out to his left, throws across his body, but finds Keon Coleman, who then breaks a tackle and finds himself a nice gain. Of course, a great day for the rookie. Back-to-back great weeks for Keon Coleman. That is a good sign as Josh Allen looks for him in the end zone. And this is after they try to go to him once before right there on that goal situation. But he comes up with it this time. Keon Coleman making a highlight play for a touchdown for the Bills. So at this point, the Bills are now up. And I'll tell you, the Bills kind of got out to that start, and they never seem to let their foot off the gas. Keon Coleman was able to find ways to make plays, but the defense right here makes a goal line stand as Geno Smith tries to do a backward somersault and fails miserably. And we try to tell him that's not the right sport, Geno. And so here comes the Bills offensively as they're going to try to respond and put up points after that turnover. Josh Allen looks downfield. He finds his guy, Keon Coleman, again. Now, there was a blindside block called on Ray Davis there, which was kind of bullshit. You know what I mean? It kind of looked like a completely fine block to me. But then again, that's the ref's decision. As now we have James Cook finding ways to slip in and out of the defense with a nice run here for the Bills, leading the way with another 100-yard game and 2 touchdowns to go for James Cook this week. Hashtag let James Cook. You got to love it out of the Bills running game. And that's something that's been a bright side of this team all year, as now Josh Allen finds Khalil Shakir for a nice first down gain. And he has looked much healthier since coming off of his injury. Obviously a little slow kind of coming back from it, but now seems to be in full rhythm and full motion as Josh Allen looks downfield again, rolls down to his right, back upfield, finds Dalton Kincaid for a national tight end day touchdown. That's what we like to see, Bills Mafia. At this moment, the Bills were up 14-3, and of course would win this game 31-10. And that's exactly what you hope for. You want to find a way to start it off well, and you want to find a way to finish it well. And that's something the Bills did. At one point, it felt like the Seattle Seahawks were maybe going to get it going when they did score a touchdown, but they were never able to do so as Josh Allen finds Keon Coleman on 1st and 20 here for a really nice gain. That's something that's good for the Bills on 1st and long situations where your offensive line is getting penalties and shooting you in the foot. You want to see them find ways to get good chunk yardage like that. And Keon Coleman becoming that option is huge as Josh Allen drops a dime here to Khalil Shakir coming out of the slot receiver position. Khalil Shakir, 100-yard performance for him. It's like, who's going to be the guy this week for the Bills? And this week it was a little bit of this, a little bit of that, as this one is going to be an interception from Geno Smith to Austin Johnson, the defensive lineman, coming away with the batted ball for a defensive turnover for the Buffalo Bills to now take it over on offense. And Josh Allen looking downfield here. He finds Keon Coleman with another possession grab, another one where he has to kind of go up and get it. And it's not an easy catch to make, but he sure does make it. And here's James Cook finding himself into the second level, and he's going to get himself close to a touchdown here. Now, here we go in another goal line situation. Josh Allen is going to this time actually hand it off to James Cook, and boom, he's in for a touchdown. Bills Mafia, let us know in the comments what you thought of the Bills offensively and defensively this week in their performance against the Seattle Seahawks. We will be discussing more about the Miami matchup coming this Sunday because as much as the Bills are a favorite, there are some interesting statistics you might want to know that Bills Mafia should be aware of, and that this is not an easy matchup in a divisional matchup in Orchard Park on Sunday against Miami. Josh Allen takes a snap, drops that, he looks downfield, and he finds, again, Dawson Knox for a huge gain. This guy has made big catches for a lot of yards in the limited amount of touches that he has gotten, and that's a good sign for this Bills offense. As James Cook's going to take the handoff here, he has been unstoppable when he gets to that second level, finding ways to kind of slash in and out, and it was a great performance from the Bills running game again. And James Cook's going to take it here, put his shoulder down, and find himself in the end zone for the second time in this game. I got to say, I love that, Josh Allen can have the run established. And even though he throws for over 280 yards in this game and 2 touchdowns, the Bills running game is really what controlled this game offensively. And the defense coming up time and time again with turnovers and goal line stops is huge. I mean, this team defensively finds a way to get it done in some of the bigger moments of the game. And here's the sack that the Bills will get. And that was it looks like a combination really of Greg Rousseau and Carter, or Solomon there. But here we go. Now we're going to punt the football here, which you're wondering, why are we showing this highlight? Because at the end of the fourth quarter, you got to find a way to seal the game. Well, the Bills could not get the first down, but Matt Collins gets the muffed punt fumble recovery, and that's awesome of highlights here, Bills Mafia. So, Kirby, you see a little bit of the Bills offensively clicking like that. What do you make of Keon Coleman, 5 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown? I mean, you're a big fan of this kid.
I'm a big fan. I think he's going to do big things for you guys too. I mean, I think eventually he overtakes it and becomes the unquestionable number 1. He's a freak athlete. You see his ups. I mean, that dude can just fly through the air. He's an acrobat through the air, dude. He'll be your OBJ type playmaker. He'll be your big monster, Moss and people guy in the future. And you just getting a taste of it right now. This is just, been the appetizer. But in the future, I think he's going to have some massive plays for you guys. 1,000-yard receiver, we'll see.
I like it because I do think, he's a guy that people say needs a little bit of development. He doesn't have elite speed, but he does have great separation, in my opinion, and his length and his athleticism is next to none. And his attitude, it's there. I mean, when the guy was focused in on Wegmans chocolate chip cookie tubs in his press conference as a rookie being drafted here, that just said everything I needed to know. I mean, the guy understands Buffalo. Wegmans chocolate chip cookies, man. They're fucking.
Yeah, but I don't like the tardiness. You know what I mean? We got to
Yes.
get the immaturity out of him is what needs to happen.
Yeah.
Those types of things are unacceptable.
As he becomes more of a focal point of the offense, Modown, because that's a great point. I think that the more that he is seen as we need you, that's going to help mature him. And if there's a system and a culture where he can do so, it's definitely One Bills Drive. I mean, they have established a culture of winning and a culture of professionalism and a culture of we show up, we do our job, just like Buffalo itself, right? So I like overall everything I'm seeing from the Bills, offensively, defensively. Seattle is not exactly an elite team. Carl Russo actually predicted the Bills to lose to Seattle, and then he actually messaged me after the game and said, I was very wrong about that. The Bills showed up. They did what they had to do. They did what I said they wouldn't do, but they did do. So overall, I like the Bills sitting at 6-2, heading into a matchup against Miami this Sunday in Orchard Park. In Bills Mafia, I know it's to a second game back, that we've been stopping the competition, that we are ahead in the AFC East, but let me tell you, this is no game to take easily. This is no game to overlook. This is a game that we need to take a look at some numbers and statistics and some interesting facts that might make you think differently, especially if you're betting the game, right? Now, Modown, we were talking a little bit about the World Series. Let's go back to this discussion.
Sure.
Now, we saw the Yankees fucking downfall in game 5, in inning 5, and they were hoping to force a game 6. Aaron Judge hits a home run. Okay. And at that moment, I'm telling you, I felt a little cocky, but I did say to myself, this honestly could steal the series back. After you have Anthony Volpe's heroics with the grand slam in game 4, Aaron Judge finally kind of seems to get it going. He has more patience at the plate. He obviously gets a hold of one and he puts it out of the park. Then Jazz Chisholm comes up and knocks one out of the park, goes to go back to back, right? Giancarlo Stanton gets a home run. The Yankees then in inning 5 just fell apart. What did you feel? I mean, watching this game, how did you feel about the Yankees and what does it make you feel going into the offseason?
Again, I'm not as far as a baseball fan to really dissect it, but I know it enough. It was pretty brutal, man, to see that shit happen. Again, definitely had the confidence, was like, all right, awesome. Not even just to, say that you're going to come back and win the next 4 in a row, but to not at least go out looking like fucking chumps. Like first 3 games, they got annihilated. Again, nice win in the game 4, pushing, and then it just great, awesome. We're heading to game 6, maybe. Holy crap! And then who knows what happens? And then just I don't even know. I mean, to sum it up, you took your eye off of the ball. And that sums it up. Judge fucking flubbed the ball, the play at the fucking first base, and I mean, it was brutal, dude.
It was hard to watch.
Collapse.
And I mean, that's the Yankees' first World Series appearance since 2009. And obviously, I'm only 30 years old, but in my lifetime, the Yankees have technically won 5 World Series. So for a lot of years there, I was watching continuous success from the Yankees and continued greatness, and it just felt like, okay, game 1, I want to talk about Aaron Boone. What are you doing? You're bringing in Nestor Cortez after you intentionally walk Mookie Betts to bring up Freddie Freeman. If you don't play baseball, I understand that you won't understand this. But let me tell you, for any competitive person, and if you're a baseball player, if somebody gets intentionally walked to bring you up, if it doesn't piss you off, you're in the wrong fucking sport. I mean, it's just like you bring up a guy who's obviously had experience in the World Series. At that point, he had already hit 2 home runs in 2 consecutive games for the Braves, 2000 and whatever the fuck, right? Now he comes up and bases are loaded. I mean, then you bring in Nestor Cortez, who hasn't pitched since September. That right there was a decision that I think lost the series. However, you lose. Okay, you're down 3-0. Then you come out in game 4 and it was a much different feel. You have a grand slam yourself. You find a way to win that game. You do so in a statement. 11-4, they win that game. Then you come out and it's game 5. if you force game 6, you've already made history because no team down 3-0 has ever forced a game 6. Not that that fucking matters. You want to force a game 7 and win game 7, but still, it's
apparently that did happen. I think Boston or something came back a
well
bunch of years
in
ago.
2004 in the ALCS, which I am not going to talk
Oh,
about.
I
that
thought it was the World Series. I thought I heard. So
No.
I could be wrong.
No. They came back from a 3-0 deficit in 2004 against the Yankees. Then they would win the World Series
Okay.
after that, and that would actually break the curse of the Bambino, which fuck that. Fucking Boston fans.
Gotcha. Okay.
But okay, so then you have Aaron Judge finally, and it was a simple mechanical thing that he was doing wrong. He had his fucking stance open like a half inch, and apparently if he puts his foot inward a half inch, he for some reason sits on the baseball much better.
Crazy,
He
right?
looked more patient at the plate, and at that point, it's like, okay, now he hits a home run. You've awoken the sleeping giant. Then it's just like 5th inning. What the fuck, dude? Garrett Cole strikes out Shohei Ohtani after striking out Gavin Lux, and it's like you have a chance to literally get out of this inning without allowing a single run, and you don't run to first base. Come on, man. You don't take nothing for granted, especially in the World Series. I was so disappointed in Garrett Cole there, but Garrett Cole was an absolute trooper and did everything he possibly could to help the Yankees win that game aside from that moment. It was just really disappointing to see the Yankees go out like that. Props to Freddie Freeman. Absolutely legendary World Series performance. And I mean, that guy really did some great things. Shohei Ohtani, I got to give him some props for still playing through injury and still being a teammate and being out there on the field. It was a great matchup, but it is really, really tough as a Yankee fan now because you don't win. Now you have the question mark that I want to talk to both of you guys about. Juan Soto. Now, obviously, you guys aren't big baseball guys, but you know who Juan Soto is. You know the type of market that baseball has. Shohei Ohtani got $700 million. Juan Soto is predicted to get anywhere from $500 to $600 million. Now, the Yankees can pay him that. But let me ask you this. Aaron Judge is your captain, Kirby, right? 9 years for, I think, $340 million they're paying him. Okay, so, okay, can you really pay Juan Soto 13 years, $600 million? You'd be paying the guy more average on a yearly basis than you're paying your captain. Would you do that if you're the Yankees? And what do you think?
I'm not disrespecting my captain. My captain is my captain. The next guy, he might get just a little bit under him, but he's the captain for a reason.
But
signing a deal like that, I don't know. Maybe it causes some drama. Maybe it doesn't. But personally, if
I don't think it would drive Aaron Judge nuts. I don't think it would drive him nuts.
And that's the unfortunate about it. I mean, it's the same thing with Josh Allen. Do you think he feels like, he's being slighted because all of a sudden fucking douchebags are getting tons more money than him and he's far better than them? Unfortunately, that's what happens when you're the veteran. You locked your shit in before all the stupidity and the numbers came. So now all of a sudden these dumb numbers are going out there with the show high stuff and things like that. I don't know if they can restructure in the MLB like they do in the NFL.
I don't think that they do. I don't think they typically ever do that.
No, because your shit is guaranteed no matter what.
And there's no salary cap, so you don't have to. You know what I mean?
Right.
They could, but it's still a business. You know what I mean? They could give the guy some bonuses and stuff like that. But I doubt they're going to restructure his original deal. If they got him for a steal, they got him for a steal. Well, he just happens to be this gem of a player. And then they have this guy over here too, who is a gem. I could say he's a gem. He's great, but Aaron Judge is a captain for a reason.
Yeah.
And this other guy is the other guy.
And let's be honest, Aaron Judge statistically had a better season, which is to be expected. He's won AL MVPs, and he's obviously the AL MVP this year. And Juan Soto hitting in front of him obviously helped those numbers quite a bit. Let's not act like it did.
Huge part of the success.
But Aaron Judge did not have postseason success the way that Juan Soto did. Juan Soto sent them to the World Series with a home run and played very well in the postseason and was consistent, but he doesn't have that great of fielding. He did have some moments in the beginning of the year where you see some great signs of fielding, but he's not a very fast guy. He's a great hitter. He draws a lot of walks, and he brings a lot of confidence and a lot of experience, and he's young. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's worth a lot of the money that he's going to get offered from a lot of these teams. But I'm just saying, I look at contract situations like this. Josh Allen, it was a good point that you brought up, Mo Down. He takes a 6-year, $250-something million deal. Mm-hmm. Great. Now, that guarantees that he's going to get paid, and it is somewhat team-friendly, obviously, and that's a good thing, too. And if you're the type of teammate that's concerned about, hey, can we sign other guys? great, because that means you're invested in what you're doing. Like Tom Brady, he never was the highest paid player once in the NFL. And that says a lot about that guy. Look how many Super Bowls he has, right? But then look at a contract situation like LeBron James when he signed 2-year contracts that way, because he knew that he could get more money in the next couple of years, playing the game in a smart way, because also taking a gamble on his own longevity and his own ability to stay healthy enough to play basketball and earn that kind of contract, right? Baseball is a little bit of a different situation. You see some of these guys get hurt and they just, I don't know, it takes a while to come back from certain injuries. I mean, look at John Carlos Stanton. That guy battled injuries a lot of these years as a Yankee and finally had some chance to play a lot of games and be successful for them this year. But overall, hey, if you guys are just now tuning in, this is the Sit Down right here on Facebook Live and YouTube Live, and also available via audio podcast, hosted by myself, the Sauce God, at Buffalo Sauce God, across social media platforms, and co-hosted by Modown and Kirby right here on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, presented by BuffaloSauceGuide.com, Duff's Famous Wings, Big Treat Inn in Orchard Park, the Zubaz Zone 716 Sports Card and Memorabilia Store, and Louie's Bar in Attica. So we're talking a little bit about the Yankees and Juan Soto situation. I'll tell you, I think there's only a few teams that are capable of signing him, and I think that's the Yankees, number one. They have the money. They will always spend the money if they have to, and if they want a guy, they will go get him. I think there's a lot of reason to stay a Yankee. I think you're batting in front of Aaron Judge. You're playing in a lineup that's stacked. You're in a big market. You're playing for a storied franchise. You have a chance to win world championships. That says a lot. However, it's the money situation. Are the Yankees willing to pay that? We're not entirely sure. They sometimes will put a guy's value as lower than the market says, and they won't always pay. I mean, look how long it took them to sign Aaron Judge and then make him the captain. They had situations with Derek Jeter in his contracts, right? So, and Kirby,
who's
another
out
point
there that who do you think they could bring in then? If they don't have him,
they have some
they
good
need to
farm
bring
talent.
in a guy, solid. Is there
They
any
have some great
free
farm
agents?
talent in AAA, and that's what a great point that you just brought up. You have Jason Dominguez, who was nicknamed the
Right.
Martian, and he's supposed to be a potentially big player for the Yankees. Then you have
Right.
Spencer Jones, I think it is. He's a big guy. He could play center field, and Aaron Judge can maybe move back to right field. It's all if the Yankees want to take a gamble on going with some homegrown talent, because that's what Aaron Judge is. That's what Anthony Volpe is, right? You have Anthony Rizzo, who's probably not going to be around for much longer in the game of baseball. He's probably getting ready to retire soon. So I think that they would probably invest in their farm. They're going to make a run at Juan Soto. I still think that the Yankees have a 55% chance to sign him. I think they have a better chance to sign him over the Dodgers or the Mets, but I do believe Juan Soto is going to be about where the money is. And so Kirby, if you got to take a little break here, brother, go ahead. We're right here in the sit down. Kirby will be back with us in a moment. So Modown, we saw out of the Buffalo Bills some great things this week. We saw the Jets get a tough win last night, but we saw Stephon Diggs go down for the Houston Texans. Now, obviously, we're not going to talk about, karma, that type of stuff, but do you think that the Houston Texans season is really kind of, I don't want to say down the tubes, but in a sense, is it kind of over now that you don't know? Nico Collins comes back in a week, but is that really enough to keep Houston at the level that they were playing with Stephon Diggs and Nico Collins?
I really don't think so, man. Honestly, I mean, not to say that Diggs was being an ultra superstar. He was having good numbers. He was nice, solid, consistent, putting up solid numbers. But I think it's definitely they're going to take a step back. I don't think they're going to be the high flying, high pace, high scoring. Again, that's the nature of the beast, man. Is injuries. Sucks for Steph. I mean, again, no, you don't wish that on anybody. I had the surgery myself a year and a half ago. It's brutal.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you don't want to see that for any player. And let's not act like Bills Mafia that Stephon Diggs didn't give us 4 electric years for the most part, except for the final year and a half or so. I mean, it wasn't exactly the same, but still, the guy gave his blood, sweat, and tears to this team. And, we hope for a speedy and healthy recovery for Stephon Diggs. So now that we see that for the AFC South, the Bills obviously have a commanding lead in the AFC East at this point with Miami still to play against once. We still have to play New England twice, and we still have to play the Jets one more time as well. The Jets don't look that great. Did you see any signs out of the Jets last night? Now that you have Hassan Reddick out there on the defense and pass rush, did you see any sign from the Jets last night that they have a chance to make things not necessarily in their favor, but difficult for the Bills in the AFC East?
No, definitely not. They, just look like their consistent self on defense. And again, you held the Texans to what, 10 or 13 points. So solid effort in that regard, but the offense doesn't scare me. I do like Garrett Wilson. That kid is awesome. He definitely showed that he's going to be a top talent.
Give me 2 seconds.
Going forward.
You're good.
Devontae Adams doesn't bother me. I think Aaron Rodgers is more than susceptible to, have a bad day, man. As soon as you start flustering that dude, he gets aggravated and, miscues, and he does not like to be sacked at all. Doesn't like to run. He did a little bit yesterday, which was kind of funny to see him taking off like that, but see the old man chugging, but I don't know. I'm not really.
Battery was going to die on my computer.
You know what's been crazy to see too is, like, say he is pressured and the pocket is flooded with defenders. What he does is he'll try to force the ball. He'll throw a speed ball, dude, like a fastball out to a wide receiver. If they drop it, it's like there's no blame on him, but it's all the blame on the wide receiver, dude.
You talk about Aaron Rodgers and how he just blames everything on everybody else.
He's a captain narcissist,
dude. Yeah, if you looked like Devontae Adams, he throws it straight up out of bounds and looked at him like, what the fuck? It's like Aaron. Like, you didn't throw the ball in bounds, dude. What are you talking about right now?
He'll get rushed out of the pocket.
I mean,
have to run sideways, throw an absolute bullet. Somebody drops it. He's like, you piece of shit, dude. And I'm just
let me be honest. Aaron Rodgers, when he was at his prime in Green Bay, was one of the most talented. I'm not going to say greatest, because there is a difference, and I'll explain that to you guys here in a moment.
Sure.
He was one of the best talented, most talented quarterbacks I've ever seen play the game of football ever. I mean, he could throw on the run. He had the arm strength to throw it as far as he needed to on the football field. He could actually make plays with his feet. His accuracy was next to none. I mean, Aaron Rodgers legit had every single tool that you would want out of a quarterback. Sure. He had pocket presence. He had toughness. I mean, let's not act like there wasn't a moment where they're playing against the Chicago Bears when they first got Khalil Mack, and for a first half, he breaks his leg. He takes some painkillers at halftime, comes out and has a Southern accent, but he tosses 200 yards and 4 touchdowns, and they come back and win. I mean, greatness is there in his talent, but was he ever a great leader? Was he ever a great winner? No. How many years did he come up short of the Super Bowl, right? I mean, I have no reason to talk. I'm a Bills fan. We haven't reached the Super Bowl since the 90s, sure, but I'm talking honestly here. Aaron Rodgers going to Green Bay, it's like, did he think that he could kind of just run the whole show? I'll go get this coach. I'll go get this player, and I could just kind of make them everything.
That egotistical.
Yeah.
And that's just much. Did you ever see Tom Brady do that? I hate the guy. But did he ever just that we need this guy, we need that guy? No.
Nope.
And that guy never commanded the salary, And that's just the truth. I mean, I hate to say it, but I have so much respect for Tom Brady, especially now that he's retired. I can give him his flowers. I have so much respect for Tom Brady. That guy eats, breathes, and sleeps football. I mean, it's next to none.
I liked him on the broadcast. I thought he sounded all right. If I didn't know that was him, and I'm just listening to who the commentators were doing and stuff, I liked the way that he would break things down, and I liked the way he talked. He sounded good. I just hate listening to some of these other commentators, and he sounded good, and I didn't mind him. I love that he was talking good shit about our team, loving Josh Allen, all that stuff, dude. It was awesome. He didn't put us down, obviously, which they're not going to, but he wasn't shying away from
commentators
that.
That can put us down, though, and I hate that. Like there's moments where it sounds like Tony Romo is a little against us, Traegman's a little against us. Kirby, let me ask you this, brother.
Not even that they're against us, but they just don't even care about us. It's all about the other fucking team.
Or they have just some sort of backhanded comments to say in regards to us.
Like,
oh, Josh he's a gamer. He might not throw it near you, but yeah, he'll play hard. Like, okay, thanks, Kirby. Yeah. Do you ever find yourself yelling at the commentators whenever you watch games?
Yes, yeah. And you mentioned that too, and I sense just a tad bit of jealousy. They see this guy is the now superstar. This guy is Mr. Relevancy. And, they're reliving their glory days like Uncle Rico. You know what I mean?
How much you want to bet I could throw a football over the mountains?
Yeah, I could throw a football a quarter mile back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, come on, dude. You never threw over 30 yards in your career.
But, and I get there's some these guys are athletes and they earn, the big bucks, and there is some ego to them. But, you mentioned Tom, and that's the one thing I really liked about Tom is, in hindsight, I hated the guy as a Jaguar fan. I'd see him just slaughter us over and over again. I'm just like, gosh. And he's chopping us down at our knees. We already suck, and he's coming in there and murdering us on a Sunday, ruining our playoff hopes. I mean, stuff like that. But I think he was a great guy. I think he has a really bright future in commentary, and there needs to be more athletes in commentary, and not just people with big opinions bashing players and teams for no reason, yet they've had no background in it.
Yeah, like Stephen A. Smith. That's one I cannot stand. I mean, Stephen A. Smith has probably never shot a jump shot.
He's a douche.
You know what I mean? And that's my whole point here. Like, all right,
I like
if
the
you
Manning
played the
cast.
game,
It's kind of
you
fun
have
to
a
watch
right.
them too.
The Manning cast
like
is
that.
awesome, and I love that Bill Belichick comes on there. By the way, I think that's great because he really is a pretty interesting dude. But I did hear a story about him on the radio the other day about how disciplined he really was in team meetings, that he would just randomly call on you and be like, all right, on the kickoff here, what's this guy normally doing? Is he going over you? Is he going around you? And it's like, you had to know those things. That's the kind of detail that the Patriots had. That's the kind of detail that Tom Brady, I think, kind of set a tone with as well, from head coach down in that kind of organization. But if you guys are just now tuning in, this is the Sit Down on Facebook Live and YouTube Live with Sauce God, Modown, and Kirby right here, and we are discussing everything in the world of sports in the Buffalo Bills, and of course everything with the New York Yankees losing the World Series in 5 games to the LA Dodgers, who have captured their second title in 5 years, one of them coming in the shortened season in 2020 due to COVID. So let's talk a little bit about the upcoming matchups for our teams this weekend. Kirby, what's going on with the Jaguars? Who do you guys face this weekend?
You've caught me off guard. I have no idea.
Okay. I'm going to see if I can find that answer for you. It is 7:47 p.m. Eastern Time. Bills Mafia and
I think
sports
it's,
fans.
gosh, who is it? It's not Green Bay. We just played them.
Yeah, did you guys win that game?
No,
Probably
we
a
lost
bye
by
week
3
or
points.
something.
3 points.
Okay, yeah, you guys lost by 3. You guys have the Eagles in Philadelphia at 4:05.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so Kirby, let me give you the rundown on numbers for that game. The Jaguars are 7.5-point underdogs, plus 280 money line, and the over/under is 47.5. How do you feel about the matchup against the Eagles, who have definitely found a way to get their game going as of late?
Yeah, now now they can pass the ball and run, which we've seen in the past. It just seemed like it was taken off slower this year. But anybody can pass on us, dude. Our secondary, y'all know how it's been. It's garbage. Pretty much anybody can pass on us. We can rush you, yes. We're okay at that, but God forbid anybody actually passes the ball long. Usually there's a wide receiver open. So
Brian Thomas Jr.'s had a great year for you guys too, by the way. I kind of keep forgetting that he's been playing for you guys. He is at the moment questionable, and so is Tank Bigsby. But I think you guys are going to kind of make the game difficult on the Eagles, and you guys might mess with the way that they play football. The Jaguars do that quite a bit. They can kind of come in and make you just change the way that you play the game of football, and that's not really good for teams. Darius Slay is actually out for the Eagles, by the way, and so is Dallas Goedert. So hey, there's a couple of opportunities with some players absent for that team, for you guys to pass the football all over the field a little bit. So
right.
Now we have the Bills, and they're facing Miami this weekend, Kirby. Now, you see Tua came back last week. He plays against the Cardinals, and he has some success, but they don't win that game. Now, you're on the outside looking in. Tell us and tell Bills Mafia, what do you think? The Bills, are they going to win this game against Miami in Buffalo?
Yeah, I think so. I think make sure you stop the run game and make sure you figure out how to run early on. Get the ball running. James Cook, let him cook. I was wrong about him starting off with the season. He's been great. He's proved me wrong. I think the success continues there on the run. Wear the clock out. And, just cover those wide receivers, man, because they're shifty and they're quick.
Okay, I like that. Modown, I got a question for you. This is an interesting statistic when it comes to the Buffalo Bills. In their last 3 years, playing a game after we gain an hour of sleep in the clock change, The Bills are 0-3 in those last 3 games after doing so. Does that speak volumes to you? Obviously, Sean McDermott's a very regimented, routine guy. Does that make you a little nervous against Miami, perhaps?
Not at all.
Okay.
Miami.
I like that. The Bills are a 6-point favorite, and typically in games where they're heavy favorites against the Dolphins, they haven't really performed very well in the sense that they've won by, small scores. In games that they're not supposed to win or games that they are not a heavy favorite, they have actually went on to blow out the Miami Dolphins. I don't think that trend is going to stay consistent here, though. I do believe the Bills are kind of rolling. I think the Bills have a lot of the teams in the AFC East's number right now. I think Tua is going to come into this game a little unsure of himself. And that's fair because the guy's a human. I'm still shocked that he's even playing games. But we are going to see, I think, the Bills play an efficient game offensively and defensively. And we'll talk about that more on Sunday in the Bills pregame tailgate show here in the Sit Down on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Do us a favor, guys. Hit us with a like and a share. Join us here in the comments section at Sauce God and Modown and Kirby. And if you're not able to catch the live version of the show, which you can always make sure you're notified if you're liked, following, subscribe, and your notifications are turned on. But if you're not able to catch the live version of the show, it is available via audio podcast wherever you may get your podcast from. This is sponsored by BuffaloSauceGuy.com, Duff's Famous Wings, Big Tree Inn, Zubaz Zone 716 Sports Card and Memorabilia Store, and, of course, the Louie's Bar in Attica, home of one of the best wing combinations in Western New York. So we've talked a little bit about the Yankees. We talked about the Bills. We talked about the Jaguars, and we've talked about everything in the world of sports. Right now, as far as what kind of action you guys can catch, if you're itching for some sports, there's college football on tonight. There's NBA on tonight as well. And, of course, you got the sit down right here for everything in sports and entertainment. But I think, guys, we're going to do our Getting Saucy segment, and then we're going to go ahead and get on out of here and get you guys out of here for the rest of the weekend so you can enjoy your weekend. And we appreciate everybody for stopping in and everybody for coming on in with your comments, likes, and shares. And I want to thank my co-hosts, Modown and Kirby, for coming in as always. It's a great show, but we have to go into Getting Saucy presented by Duff's Famous Wings.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Ice cold, nice, refreshing Labatt Blue on a fierce storm behind J817.
It's a cold front, is what that is.
I'm fired up this week, ladies and gentlemen. I want to get you fired up. Bills Mafia, you want to hear me getting saucy this week? It's simple. Mac Jones and the New England Patriots, and also, too, the Miami Dolphins, and anybody that's got anything bad to say. Bills by a billion, baby. Let's go. Let's go, Bills. Bada bing, bada fucking boom. Let me tell you, Miami fans, don't come over here starting to get cocky again because your quarterback's coming out for a second game against the Bills. All right, let's not act like this. Just come out and get a fucking ass whooping whenever the fuck he needs to, because the Buffalo Bills say, "Hey, boy, you need to get spanked, Tua." Well, we're going to eat some dolphin this week. You know what I'm saying? So the Bills are going to get themselves ready for another AFC East blowout as they are going to take on the Miami Dolphins in Orchard Park at 1 p.m. So Bills Mafia, do me a favor, get loud, get rowdy. And if you see a Miami fan, don't make them feel too bad. They might talk shit to you. They might just talk a bunch of unwarranted and unnecessary shit, but it's okay because the final score will speak volumes as the Buffalo Bills will come out victorious again and get themselves to 7-2 and keep that AFC East train rolling for everybody that said the Bills would not win the AFC East for a 5th consecutive year. So Bills Mafia, we want to say God bless and go Bills, and stand tall and bolster up to every single one of you guys out there. This is the conclusion of the sit down right here on Facebook Live and YouTube Live and available via audio podcast. Make sure you have your likes, your notifications turned on so you never miss the live versions of this show, the Bills pregame show, the Bills postgame show right here on Facebook Live and YouTube Live at Buffalo Sauce God and Anthony Thomas on Facebook. Modown, it's been real, brother. Appreciate you for stopping in as well.
Always.
And Kirby, very much appreciate you for stopping in and representing the Jaguars and talking everything about the world of sports with me. And guys, stand tall until next time. Bolster up. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. God bless. And as always, you already know, go Bills.
Go Bills.
Bada bing.